Hello and welcome to the third edition of Chip In, our new series all about home computers and how they can change your life. Take Claire, an 8-year-old who was unable to communicate with the outside world until she learnt to use specially adapted computers. Or this man who daren't show his face even though as a computer software copyist he's committed no crime. Or runner Donna Hartley, who discovered that computer athletics can be just as demanding as the real thing. Or Jane Bird, who used to be a nice girl and is now our Chip In resident expert. But now, Chip In Challenge. But first, let's meet the families who are going to take part in this week's Chip In Challenge. The Hyams from Blackburn, which is my hometown, but I promise to be impartial, and the Pounders from Oxon-on-the-Wirral. And to start us off, we've got Tim Hyam and Annabelle Pounder playing our Chip In game, which is based on Xenon Raid. As I sit here in the Liverpool studio, I feel distinctly nervous because I know that only the nimble fingers of our contestants stand between us and certain destruction at the hands of the alien liverbirds. So it's fingers on buttons, 1 minute from... So it's once more unto the pier head, dear friends. Here's Annabelle locked in Mortal Kombat. Meanwhile, Tim is getting stuck in as well. Being zapped there, I'm afraid. Annabelle's weaving and dodging, but it's all to no avail. Another life takes its place. That was a successful kill for Annabelle. Meanwhile, those alien liverbirds keep on coming. Unfortunately, rather effectively. Meanwhile, how's Tim getting on? As you can see, the score is at the top of the screen, and the fuel running out is registered at the bottom of the screen. We're running out of time. I'm about to blow the whistle. And looking at the respective screens, I see, good heavens, that Annabelle is the winner. Enough of games. Now we're going to find out how to feed the computer to get it to do what you want it to do. And with me to explain more is Jane Bird, the editor of Personal Computer World. Now, Jane, there are a lot of buzzwords in computing. Software is one of them. What's software?
Well, software is vitally important. Software is the brains which actually tells your computer what to do. And without it, it's just a useless heap of junk. Software is the instructions.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happens if the machine has no software at all?
Well, if it has no software at all, which is what we've got with this machine, we can try and ask it to do something, like run a program, but nothing happens, doesn't understand.
So without software, this is a useless heap of junk without any brains.
That's right.
Rather like me. So the thing we have to do is to give it software. How do we do that?
Well, software comes in the form of either a cassette, like this, or a floppy disk, like this.
And how much information can we store on those?
Oh, we can store hundreds of pages, literally, on the floppy disk. And we access the information on the pages by use of an index, like we would with an ordinary book.
Well, I can see how that might be useful, yes. We can look up certain amounts of information, and perhaps even we might store our favourite recipes on one, and even find out from the computer what to do with vegetables like these.
Well, we certainly can. I think our computer knows that we've got cucumber and tomato in the pantry, so I'll just type garlic and see what it comes up with. Oh, gazpacho.
I thought that was a spaghetti western starring Clint Eastwood. Oh no, according to the computer, it's a kind of soup.
And here it is.
Good heavens, this computer's more powerful than I thought. It looks absolutely revolting. Now, why is it that some software is more expensive than other pieces of software?
Well, that depends on the complexity and how long it's taken to write, and also you might get a long service from the manufacturer who supplied it, and you might get regular updates. On the other hand, it might be cheaper if they want to sell lots of copies.
I suppose it's even cheaper if you learn to write your own software.
Certainly is, or you can even copy someone else's.
And there's a lot of copying about, as we'll find out. Now, the question is now, are you afraid of bugs and creepy crawlies?
Oh, yes.
Well, watch this. And now back to the world of Chip In Challenge, where the good guys and the bad guys are clearly defined. This time we've got Joanne Hyam and Tim Pounder, and they're up against the bug attack. You've got to be careful how you say that. Anyway, this game features knife-throwing ants, I ask you. It's a sort of entomological version of Space Invaders. The object of the game is to get the insects before they get you. And now you've got 1 minute from now. Now here's Joanne in action. If you hit the cactus plants 3 times, they disappear, which makes it easier for you to hit the insects. Personally, I think a can of DDT would be more handy, but not so in the world of computer games. Now, once you've got rid of the ants, you're up against the one-eyed, knife-throwing slugs, which makes you realise what wonderful educational instruments computers can be. Tim certainly has the hatred of insects written all over his face. He's doing very well, tossing up quite a score. Joanne Hyam, maybe, she's doing well. She's got one more to knock out before she moves on to the next stage of the game. But unfortunately, she's lost a life. Now we're coming up to time-out, so you've got to zap as many as you can. Tim Pounder's onto the butterfly stage. I'm about to blow the whistle, so Joanne, make up any ground you can. It's time up, and the winner is Tim Pounder. Well, now that we've been saved from the bugs, let's meet somebody else who's under attack. With me is Mr. X. You won't be able to see him or hear him too clearly because, in a way, he's one of the most wanted men in Britain. Wanted, that is, by the big computer companies because Mr. X copies computer games and programs for his friends. It's not a crime because, unlike video movies, there's no copyright on programs and games. But Mr. X knows that if he's caught, the consequences could be grave. So, Mr. X, what is copying?
Copying is the exact duplication of a computer program.
And how did you start?
Well, we started by having programs not being able to give to friends, and so one devises methods of doing so.
But is it illegal? That's the thing that interests me. Is it actually a crime? I said not, but what about the ethics of it?
Well, the ethics of it to me are perfectly simple. The stuff costs a lot to begin with, and we don't consider it unethical to copy programs we would not have bought anyway.
It does cost a lot of money. What's the total cost of the programs that you've copied?
I would estimate between, say, £25,000 and £30,000.
And do you make money out of it personally?
No.
Now, supposing you and I wanted to copy something, what exactly would we need and what would we have to do?
We would need the program to be copied, we would need the facilities, and a program which would be capable of copying.
OK, let's see something in action. Now, this is a program called Locksmith, isn't it, which breaks any particular code that the programmer may have put in. And what's the program we're copying?
The program's called Starcross.
That's a computer game, presumably.
That's right, yes.
And how much would Starcross cost in the shops?
Starcross will probably cost about £25.
And how long will it take us to copy it?
It will take about 10 minutes. The program in memory is copying the program to be copied onto a blank disk. It's taking a chunk at a time, and what you see on the screen is the analysis of that particular chunk.
Now, if I was a programmer, I'd try and write in some method of protection to avoid it being copied by people like you. What are you up against?
The protection methods change all the time. They're quite diverse. It's a cat and mouse game. New protection methods are inaugurated and are subsequently cracked.
But what happens if you get caught?
Probably be sent to Coventry by the computer fraternity.
The computer industry, you mean?
Yes.
What about your friends? I mean, presumably they'll be very disappointed.
Probably.
OK, thanks very much indeed. From the legal minefield of copyright, we turn now to a really useful microcomputer application which may help thousands of handicapped people communicate with the outside world. The paintings of an 8-year-old handicapped girl called Claire. It's one way of communicating. Claire's a pupil at Clatterbridge Special School, which is a special school in more ways than one. You might think that such a school had no use for an ordinary microcomputer, but you'd be very wrong. Supposing you're so handicapped that you can barely move, barely speak. That's when the microcomputer comes into its own. This application, devised by Alec Wood, was the first to give Claire Pinches the chance to write down her thoughts. She was born spastic, unable to speak, with only her head movements under control. The switch on the right moves the cursor across the alphabet. The switch on the left moves the cursor up. Claire finds the letter she wants, then taps the right switch again to print it. Claire's just finishing the word computer. There's the R going in. Now she has to find a full stop. And that's it. Well, that was phase 1, and as you saw, Claire can write pretty well by tapping the switches on either side of her face. But it's still a fairly long-winded and cumbersome process, so a local scientist called John Cole came up with phase 2. Some time before, he'd made a light pen for himself, stripping out an old felt pen and filling it with a few pounds of electronics. With a light pen, you can move a cursor around the screen. Take the same principle, attach it to an ordinary cyclist helmet, and Claire now has a writing machine which is far more rapid. Now, Claire, you give us some idea how it works. Why don't you tell me what your name is? The experts think this device could help as many as 10,000 handicapped people. With practice, you can learn to write quickly, because the computer prints the letter as soon as the cursor has rested on it for half a second. Now to the A. Okay, no, that's a P. So you want an R, don't you? You want to rub that out by delete. That's fine. Now up to the R, which is on your right. Settle on the R. That's it. Great. Now to an E. Oh, it's a C. Delete it, knock it out. Good. That's it, very good. Mr. Hamilton, what can the microcomputer do for people with a handicap?
Well, it's not only children who can benefit from the computer used in this way. It has a lot of applications for adults, teenagers, who can enable them to do things that able-bodied children can do, which, because of their disability, they would otherwise not be able to do. In Claire's case, she can do her writing on the computer. It can be printed out and taken home as her homework and the work she's done at school. And, of course, she thoroughly enjoys it. And, above all, she's been motivated to produce a lot more work.
This sort of application will help many other people besides Claire. But you don't have to be a scientist or a genius to find something useful for your computer to do within the community. In fact, this week's Chip-In competition revolves around just that. Can you find something useful for your computer to do within your community? If you can, send your programs and ideas to Chip-In Competition, Granada Television, Derby House, Liverpool L2 3UZ. I'll repeat that, Chip-In Competition, Granada Television, Derby House, Liverpool L2 3UZ. Now, don't forget, we need your entries on floppy disk or cassette. No paper listings, please, and get them to us by September the 30th. Now, even as I speak, the entries for the previous two Chip-In competitions are being judged by the Merseyside Microsystems Centre, but it's still not too late to enter those competitions either. The categories are as follows: A, an original game; B, an educational programme or a game for the preschool child; and this week's competition, a community use for your computer. Well, now I've been joined by someone you'd probably associate with a sports programme rather than a computer programme. She's Donna Hartley, the runner, and she's volunteered to pit her wits against the computer and test the Olympic decathlon. Now, in the Olympic decathlon, you can take on the computer and play yourself, or you can play against a friend. As in the real decathlon, there are 10 events, including hurdling, the high jump, long jump, running, pole vaulting and shot putting. And just like real life, one small slip or a mistake in timing and down you go, just like that. Or you may be all right, but anyone standing behind you in the shot put is put in severe danger. Now, Donna and I are going to play the first event of the decathlon, which is the 100 metres dash. I'm going to move up to, well, I have moved up to the start. Donna's going to join me. Then we wait for the gun. Donna's finger's looking in good condition. I think she's been taking illegal stimulants. She will be tested by the company doctor afterwards. I'm marginally in the lead. I think I'll slow down and be gentle.
Oh, your running style's dreadful.
It's my two-finger typing has paid off.
And you've beaten me.
Hey, hold on,
Very good. No, I've beaten you, haven't I?
Yeah, but that's not what happened on the screen, was it?
12.6, that's a good time.
You won.
15.7. I said your running style was
The Olympics,
awful.
here you come. Well, the controversial result of the 100 metres dash has led to a steward's inquiry, and I may well be disqualified. But now Donna's on her own because she's going to throw the javelin, thanks to the computer. Now, the thing is to get some speed up, isn't it, by running with the two fingers at the bottom of the keyboard?
Yes, this is it. It's difficult to get them both moving at the same time, but the end result is, of course, getting the javelin as far as you can.
Yes, the important thing is the angle of trajectory, isn't it? And there it goes.
Yes,
the picture changes.
It's quite a good throw. Oh, it's a very good throw.
48.6 metres.
There we are.
Is that good enough to get in the Olympic team?
Not quite, but another couple of practices and I might just do it.
Now,
It's not bad.
What do you think of this? Do you think it's fun?
Yes, I really have enjoyed playing with the computer. It's been really good.
Do you think it'll ever replace standard athletics?
Oh, no. I don't think so.
It conjures up a vision of the future, doesn't it? Everybody with very large heads and brains and no arms and playing sport thanks to the computer.
But it really is good fun, and I'm sure anybody who has this game will have an awful lot of pleasure out of it.
I wonder if Daley Thompson could improve his performance if he had a go on it.
He might do, yes, he just might. But mind you, he's so good, I don't think he needs to improve at all at the moment.
Is a computer the kind of thing that you'd buy personally?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I haven't really thought about buying a computer. But I think if I did have one, I would enjoy playing games like this, because it is good fun. But as regards buying one, I don't know yet. I'd have to think about it.
Now, from computer athletics back to real athletics, you're currently in training, aren't you?
Yes, I'm back in training after having an operation on my Achilles. I'm finding it very hard to get fit again, but my main aim now is to just get fit really for next year's Olympics and try and qualify.
That's in Los Angeles, isn't it?
Los Angeles, and it'll be my 4th, so if I make it, it'll be...
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah.
How many seconds then do you have to knock off between now and 1984?
Well, certainly at the moment, the way I'm running now, I've got to knock off about 3 seconds off my time, which is quite a lot, because I really am not fit at all, and I'm finding it very hard, because, of course, before I had my operation, I was fit and everything was easy, and now it isn't, and for the first time in my life, I'm having to really struggle, but that's part of it. That's part of the challenge, is getting back, and I'm enjoying it.
This is one of the blessings of the computer game, because if you fall flat on your back in the high jump, it simply says, ouch, that hurts. You don't actually have to put up with the pain yourself.
No. I wish it was as easy as that in real-life athletics.
Well, good luck for 1984, Donna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And now the fathers from the Hyam and Pounder families are going to take part in an adult game. Imagine you're locked in a brewery for the night. You fancy a drink, but it's all kept upstairs. Now, you can take the stairs or the lift if you can find it. But the trouble is you're in danger of bumping into an erratic drunk who's wandering about the place, and you're also being pursued by the DTs, the nightmarish figments of your drunken imagination. Now, both of them can bring you down to earth with a bump. So you've got a minute from now to get as high as you can. Barry Hyam already making rapid pace towards the lift. He's obviously a thirsty man. Slight hint of redness about the nose. Hints that he may be doing rather well at this game. Meanwhile, Robin Pounder. I think he's more a shorts man, actually. He's found himself about 5 floors up, the lift nowhere in sight, and he can only go down a ladder. Now there goes the drunk, you see. That reminds me of our producer. And unfortunately, he's bumped into the drunk, and there he goes, down to earth, with a bump. Meanwhile, how's Barry Hyam getting on? He's heading up, but the lift has now appeared downstairs. Robin Pounder is concentrating. He's so desperately in need of a drink. Running out of time. I'm about to blow the whistle. Time, gentlemen, please. And the convincing winner of this particular competition is the thirsty Barry Hyam. And so another mind-blowing chip-in challenge comes to an end. How can I stand all this excitement each week? Well, at least that's what it says in the script. But it's time to present the prizes. Now, even though the Pounders won 2 of the games, my computer-like mind tells me that the result is a draw. So I'm going to present the first prize to Annabelle for the Pounder family and to Joanne for the Hyam family. Congratulations. That's all from us for today. We'll be back next week with yet another unusual look at home computers.